The Secretary just feels so strongly that the people of Florida deserved, another week, and that's why he extended the deadline from last Friday to today. I don't want to try and speculate on what the governor and the Secretary will discuss today, but I will say this, that should that project not go forward, we'll be looking at a very fair, transparent process to quickly reallocate those dollars. And should that happen, that can end up being tremendous opportunities for the people around this table. There is such strong local support for the program there that the local mayors, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, and I'm trying to remember the fourth one now, had been working on putting together another unit of government that would be eligible to execute the project. And I got to tell you something, they did some exceptionally good work. They had a very strong legal counsel, and they really did put together a good package that could have been viable. The challenge is, still, for them to be able to execute the project, there's no way to get around the fact that Florida DOT would have to be, number one, the pass-through to this new entity, and would have to be involved in the project. Even though the new entity and the private sector could provide all of the coverage from a liability standpoint on cost overages for construction costs or operating costs, they could have fully and totally shielded the state from that. There still would have had to be a role for the Florida DOT, and without the governor's commitment, it becomes very difficult to go forward. We simply at FRA need to continue to do our job every day with a high level of diligence in getting these projects out the door and obligated. And I think that's the same message that we need from the states, that everybody needs to make sure that the right level of intensity is being done, that I's are being dotted, T's are being crossed. The obligation deadline is September 30th of 2012. We now have about 64% of the ARA projects obligated. And again, we believe that we will be fully obligated more than a year in advance. And we think that actually that's an amazing record. You've heard the president make his statement, about wanting to connect 80% of Americans to a high-speed rail network within the next 25 years. And those aren't just idle words. It's something that he personally, strongly believes in. Is somebody that's known the president and worked with him going back to his time in the state legislature in Illinois. I know that this is not something new, but it's something genuine that he's believed for about 15 years. And I would also say that these aren't just figures that were picked out of the sky, but that there is a high level of market analysis that goes behind the development of these numbers. And there's a legitimacy to this plan and what we believe is our ability to execute it. And of course, everybody knows of the Vice President's commitment to this program. It comes natural to Vice President Biden. And he's right when he says that we can't compromise. That while there's clearly a need for budget cuts, budget reductions, that we can't compromise on our future and the need to innovate, educate, and build and position ourselves for competitiveness on the global stage. There's a clear understanding of what's going on with our population growth, the fact that there's going to be 70 million more people in the next 25 years living in the United States. And so not only is it a challenge on how are we going to move the people, but with each one of those new citizens accounting for roughly 40 tons of freight, how are we going to grow that 2.8 billion more tons of freight? And it's obvious that market share is going to have to shift. Our highway, if market share remains the same, our highway network would get clogged. And so there's clearly a need to shift a growing percentage of freight to our freight rail network. And that's why the administration does have a commitment to freight rail. Here's kind of how the pie slices up in the $8 billion that's proposed for 2012. 42% of it goes into the high-speed rail infrastructure and stations. That's the network development. For ADA compliance, we're talking about a little bit shy of $1.2 million to bring all the stations into compliance. Other activities, that's going to be a A key one for the states, I think, because a critical element of that is capacity building, and that's for all of us that need, in essence, to up our game as we start executing passenger rail programs. States and the federal government are great at building highways. They've been doing it for 50 years. But we need now to start making the same kind of adjustments so all of us have the skills and the resources to execute rail. Equipment development, key part of it. Not only do we have aging fleet out there on Amtrak today, but as these corridors, grow, there's the need, Washington State, California, Illinois, and the Midwest. Everybody's going through this now where there's already the need for more equipment. We believe through the work of the Section 305 Committee, we have a tremendous opportunity here to reinvigorate domestic manufacturing. We're absolutely rigid on the Buy American provisions. We're not looking to be yielding on that whatsoever. And we believe that that gives us the greatest opportunity for standardization of all the parts and components. And this, with this type of program and the 6-year proposal that the President's talking about, it gives these manufacturers the type of comfort and knowledge of commitment that they've been asking for, that they're going to be more willing to take the risk to establish these plants and firms in the United States of America.